Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around. Who'd have thought they'd lead ya? Who'd have thought they'd lead ya? Back here where we need ya. Back here where we need ya. Yeah, the tease him a lot, 'cause we got him on the spot. Welcome back. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. Give it a stretch. Okay. All right. Hopefully that last break, that last work session was a productive one for you. I found about some cool things I think maybe I can use in this project that I'm working on, this new one. A old new project. Like I was working on it previously, that I stopped to work on another project that I needed to get done. Now that project is done, I can go back to this other one, which I'm going to need fairly soon. So I'm going to continue the work I did on it. What's cool is that the work for the project I just finished will help with this project. So it's like building on top of each other. So it's cool. All right. Speaking of cool, one of the things that I was kind of like looking at and I thought was pretty dope is that now we spoke about the interopt thing that the browsers are doing to kind of like help make all the browsers all in the same like playing field. So when you do something in one browser, it will work in another browser, right? And so one of the things, so they've been working on like different like methods and things on like for example, this one is an array, right? And I'm always looking at if there's been any updates to any of the, the actual core elements of like the web and just JavaScript and programming in general, right? So with the array, there's different methods, right? And so now there is this width that's on there, and is now this web feature is now available in all three major browsers. So I figured, hey, why not take a look at it? Because that's kind of amazing, right? So shouts to Jad Jorbran for writing this up. Oh, and I'm gonna copy and paste this so that I will. So if you want to check it out for yourself, it'll be right next to the recorded video. Cool. So immutable array updates with array.prototype.with, right? And so browsers recently gained a new interoperable method that you can call on arrays. So array.prototype.with, right? And you see here all the browser support, which is dope. All right. Now, this article explores how the method works and how to use it to update an array without mutating the original array. So that's the whole thing there. So now you're able to generate like a totally separate new disconnected array from so you can create a new one that's disconnected from the original array. Because before, and I think there's a sample here. So intro to that, right? So you put in an index, so the index of the array that you want to change and the value of it. All right. So now, so this right here, method returns a copy of the array is called on with the index set to the new value provided. So it's like a totally new thing. Because previously, if you were to do like, let's say, for example, I think this is going to be somewhere else, but if you did like new ages equals ages or whatever, and then you were to change something in new ages, well, then ages would also change, right? And then there's situations where you don't want that to happen. And it can cause like weird errors. But you can see here, so we have the original ages, right, array, and then we're doing the new ages, we have the original array of ages, and then the with method on there. And so we have the first index, which is this 15, we're going to change to 16. So when you console log it, you get 10. Instead of 15, you get 16 because you replaced it there. 20, 25. Everything else stays the same except for that, the first index, right? then you can see that the original is still the same. And I think it was this one or another one, but it shows like why that you may want to do that, right? So breaking down the code, ages.with returns a copy of the ages variable without modifying the original array. Dope. So if you were to look previously, you know what I'm saying, if you were to do like new ages equal ages, you think, hey, maybe new ages is totally separate, like because you just created like a whole new variable. So you're thinking maybe it's separate from ages, like there's no link anymore, right? But no, if you change the first one, kind of like how we did before here, the first index with 16, well, then it would also change the original ages first index to 16. And so a lot of times that can cause issues, especially if you're trying to compare things. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. So you're actually you're creating a reference to the other array. So they talk about immutability, which is what this allows. So immutability is at the heart of many front end libraries and frameworks. To name a few, React and Redux and Vue. Also, other libraries and frameworks don't necessarily require immutability, but encourage it for better performance, Angular and Lit. So, developers often had to use other methods that return copies of arrays, which sacrifice code readability. Because I think, what is it? In order to render properly, you need like immutability to be able to just say, like, okay, these are the things that changed. So then I can performantly be able to change only the things that did change instead of changing everything, because everything, you know what I'm saying? Because everything changed instead of just being able to. I think what happens is behind the scenes, it takes the original and looks at the new one, and then it goes and makes the changes because only changing the new things. Whereas if you don't have immutability, then it's just going to re-render everything, which is not as performant as just rendering things that you need. So I think that's where that's talking about. All right. So people basically had to do this before. So you'd have to do a map on the array, which then generates like a new array not tied to it, right? And then you have to do this to change it. So you're kind of like changing it here inside of here, which doesn't affect that because it's within here. But then it spits out because see, this ages is this one here. It's returning. Okay, I'm tired. So this ages is going through it, right? But then it's returning each individual one into this new ages. So that's how you're like separating it. So it's almost like you're taking a copy, but then like chopping off, like I don't know the original anymore, and just putting it into this new one. You know what I'm saying? So it's severing the tie, basically. So then, you see here, the original remains unchanged. Then here it is using in React. Cool. So now, since the with method returns a copy of the array, you can chain multiple withs calls or even other array methods. So because what happens is you don't have to worry about changing that original. So you can kind of count on that, hey, this index is always going to be the same throughout this chaining method, right? So that'd be a little bit easier instead of thinking like, oh crap, is it going to change? Then what's going to happen? How do I, in the further chaining, how's that going to change stuff? And he's going to whole mess, right? So they have this example here. So we have the new ages, which is going to be the original ages with the first one index changed so that the original index 15 is added a 1 to it, so that becomes 16, right? And then on top of that, the second place, we're adding the second one, which is the 20, adding a 1 to that there. So now imagine if you had something where maybe you needed to do something again with the 1, the first index. Well, then the first index would have changed to like 16. You know what I'm saying? And then when you called it again later, it would have been weird, right? So at least this way, you kind of know ages stays the same throughout everything, all the chains. So pretty dope. Cool. And then this also brings up some of the previous ones, other immutable methods. So like if you ever wanted to like reverse an array, well, then the same issue would happen where the original was reversing. But this one, if you do two reversed, it creates a new array that you don't have to worry about changing anything in the original one without mutating the original array, like it says here. Same thing with sorted. And then, which is probably pretty cool. Like if you ever need to, like if you sort certain ways, but if you ever need to go back, you don't have to like undo that sorting. You can just go back to the original, right? And so you don't have to like cause that expense of calculation twice to go back to the original. You just go back to the original. At least in my brain, that's how that would work. And then splice, same thing. Cool. So now I looked up because when I was like, oh, this is pretty dope. I always go to like MDN to kind of see like some more information, right? So that's what I did here. Let me share this tab instead. I'm gonna copy this link and add it to the list of links so you can check out for yourself. So this is talking about the array prototype width also. So you can see newly available 2023, even though we're in 2024, I guess from when was this original thing? Oh no, this article, the blog post was last month, but I guess maybe it was on the list to be done in 2023. Maybe it just got there now. I don't know how these things work, but I'm glad it's here. All right, so yeah, so basically same thing without it makes a copy of the thing without having to do it. Now they brought up a really cool thing. Well, no, it wasn't this one. There's another one, but we'll get into that. And so it kind of goes like right here though is which I think is pretty dope. So by combining with at, right, another method that you can call upon arrays, you can both write and read. So you can write with the with, like we just saw. You can also read. You know what I'm saying? Respectively, an array using negative indexes. And so, did they have an example? They don't have an example here. But one of the things with, like with the with array, like this index could be negative, so it'll count from the back, and you'll be able to do that. Previously, you couldn't really do that because they don't talk about it here, but they talk about it in this one. I also looked up that. So let me share this tab instead. I'm gonna copy this link and the address, and I'll add it to the list of links so you can check out the at method as well. But so, for example, right here, right? So, oh, I kind of already did it. So console log index of 2, right? So we want this one here. So 0, 1, 2. So we want the 8. Return array 1 here at that index 2, and it returns 8. I did the same thing here, like because previously you were able to kind of do array 1 and then in brackets put the index. And you can see here it gives you the same thing. But let's say if the index was negative and you want to go back, right? So it'd be if it's -2, for some reason it's negative. This is like -1, and then here because it's the length minus whatever it is. So that's why it's this and this, right? That's why -2 returns 130. But if I were to do the same thing here, let's see, right? So now that is negative, right? With the brackets, what will happen is you get undefined because you can't put negative indices in the bracket because something they explain it here, but it's the way that it's kind of like calculated, because then it's like a string or something and it just messes stuff up. It's terrible. They explain that more. So, but with that, you can now do like just array at -1 indices to go back. And yeah, so you can always do stuff like returning the last thing. So they're using like a shopping cart. So here are the items in the cart. You want to get the last thing, right? So it's always going to be array -1. And so you do that. The item is going to be the return last, which is called on this function with the cart. It's going to return the last one, which is pair. Bam. There you go, right? Now, if you add on an orange to the cart, you say return the last, you do the -1, bam, is now orange because orange would have been added to the end of it. So now it's pretty dope. And so then again, they talk about all the different things you can do here. This one I thought was kind of interesting as well. So you can call at, and I'm assuming with also, on non-array objects. Because normally, like I said, they're an array method, right? But let's say you have this object here, right? It will read the at, and I think the width also will read the length that we got here, right? And so we have this here array prototype that at call. So we're doing the array like, so kind of like turning it into a thing. So but you're calling, so the dot call is calling the, making it like an array, and then you want to change, you want to get the 0, right? And so that's why you get this a, because it's at the 0. Now the thing is, it's only length 2, so that means only 0 and 1. So this 2 in this object, right, is going to be undefined because you already said the length was 2. So yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. I thought that was pretty dope. And so I don't know about y'all, but things like that is kind of interesting. So I just want to say again, big shouts to Jad Jorbron for writing this, and that's how I kind of found out about it. And yeah, so I'm thinking I'm going to use this for some more, like some, now that it's available pretty much everywhere, I'm going to try use it more in my projects, because I was using at before because I always thought that was pretty dope, right? Being able to just here we go, being able to just pinpoint the actual index that I wanted, you know what I'm saying, without having to do anything, or like doing the bracket notation. Sometimes it's a little bit cleaner to have the at, and it kind of makes sense reading it wise, you know what I mean? And so I'm pretty hyped that that's also, so now with and at, you can like do a bunch of different things. You can like write and read to that same thing, and just, yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty dope. It's gonna be kind of cool reading that and having to go through all the other stuff with all the brackets and things. So, but yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about. Cool. What am I doing? So let me get back to work, because like I said, I'm doing more research on this thing that I just found out about for my current project. So we'll see. I'm gonna do a quick thing because I've been using something else, but I think that kind of tied me to something. So if I don't use it, I just want to do some authentication thing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll talk about it in a future break session. But right now, we're gonna do a little bit of more digging. And but yeah, I'm gonna send you all off with some traveling music. This here is Nujabez featuring Apani B. The track is called Thank You. Thanks for hanging out. Be back for the final break session. We'll take a look at an artist's website, maybe listen to some music, watch some videos, and maybe you'll become a fan. All right. So thanks again for hanging out, and I'll see you 15 minutes after the hour. All right. Nujabez featuring Apani B. Thank you. All right, be easy. Peace.
But let me start from the heart. I just want to stay. I thank you all for showing up to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. I thank you all for showing up to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. But let me start from the heart. I just want to stay. I thank you all for showing up to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. I thank you all for showing up to me.